Good morning, everyone. This meeting of the Agricultural Labor Relations Board is now called to order at 11:17 a.m. Thank you for your patience with us. I do ask, even if you're able to hear me okay now, we do have Spanish interpretation available today. Please go in your Zoom application and go to interpretation and click either English or Spanish so we can ensure you have adequate audio during the meeting. I'll pause so that message can also be relayed in Spanish.
Buenos días y gracias por acompañarnos hoy. En nuestra junta tenemos servicio de interpretación por medio de la aplicación de Zoom. Hacia el abajo de su pantalla en Zoom hay un glóbulo que dice interpretación. Por favor, haga clic allí y escoja su idioma. Aunque vaya a escuchar en inglés, por favor, haga esa selección que va a dejar que escuche nuestros procedimientos. Gracias.
Thank you very much, Santiago. As noted, a few other housekeeping things. We do have our staff, Satya, and then our executive officer, Santiago, who you just heard. If you're having any technical difficulties or questions, you can email them, and their email addresses are on the meeting agenda, which is posted on our website, alrb.ca.gov. We do ask that you please have your device on mute if you are not speaking. Okay, we will now move on. Our next agenda item is approval of the most recent meeting minutes from June 5th. May I have a motion to approve?
So moved.
Thank you. Member Flores, may I consider that a second? All right. All those in favor, please say aye.
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 Thank you. The minutes from June 5th are approved. Next, we have our chair's report. I have a few items that I'd like to highlight. One, we have several new staff persons here. We have a new legal intern for the summer, Craig Jenkins, who will be joining us from UC Davis Law School. Very excited to have him. And then also we have filled the special assistant to the chair position with Michaela Powell, who joined us on Monday and will be helping myself and the board with various special projects specifically related to outreach and partnership and other things. So very excited to have this expansion of our team and look forward to working with them. And so hopefully you can introduce yourselves when you are able. Next, I just want to share briefly, I had the wonderful opportunity last week to go on a housing tour in the Monterey Bay area with several of our state's executive leadership, including our own agency secretary, Stuart Knox, the secretary for the Business, Consumer Services and Housing Agency, Tamika Moss, and then Secretary of Food and Ag, Karen Ross, and then as well as the director of the Housing and Community Department, Gustavo. And we toured 3 different sites. We went and saw some nonprofit affordable housing funded by Joe Cerna Funds, managed by Chispa, who spoke at our housing panel 2 years ago. These are beautiful apartments on the old Fort Ord site, and we got to meet in their community room and see those spaces, and they were amazing facilities. And we, heard a lot about the great work that they're doing there. They have a YMCA summer camp for some of the kids there. We saw, bikes and it's all electric appliances and everything. And so that was it was a really beautiful site. Then we visited another migrant center operated by the state in Gilroy. And then right next door, we visited a private housing that is owned by Christopher Ranch and managed by their farm labor contractor, Empire, who also, and it's exclusively for their H-2A workers. And it was really interesting to see the different setups and understand some of the different constraints and challenges and discuss potential for opportunity. There will be more discussion forthcoming, but really hoping that we can brainstorm with our sister agencies on action items that maybe we could do administratively, perhaps that could be proposed statutorily to help address a variety of farm worker housing issues. There obviously is an interest, like with all segments of housing, on increasing supply and affordability. I would say that's less within our purview, although we certainly support initiatives that help support the worker population that we serve and all Californians, really. But there's also some discussion around how do we ensure quality, how do we ensure minimum standards, and that workers are able to have services that they need, and that we have mechanisms and clear lines of communication so that when incidents such as what happened in Half Moon Bay and other incidents that we've heard in the past year where farm workers are living in essentially condemned conditions, places that are not suitable for housing, that we are able, one, to prevent that from happening, and two, that we can take early action and have rapid response. And so we'll be having further conversations in that regard, but it was a really interesting tour, and really excited about the partnership across the state, and very appreciative of all of our hosts in the Monterey and Marina and Gilroy area for letting us take a look around, and it was very interesting. With that, I will now turn it over to our Executive Officer, Santiago Avila Gomez, to give us the next set of reports.
Thank you, Chair Hussey and members of the board. Today's report is for occurrences after, or items that came to the board after the last public board meeting where I reported, which was May 29th, I believe. This report, as well as other reports, will be found at the ALRB's website under the Meetings tab. Currently, the Executive Officer's report is listed there. An additional report will be uploaded later today. Since our last public board meeting where I reported, there have not been additional complaints or post-complaint settlements to report on. There have been one administrative order that issued on June 10th, and that was in the matter of Hosai Guy Farms, Inc., and that admin order number is 2024-20. That order denied without prejudice the General Counsel's request for subpoena enforcement, and the case number there is 2024-CE033, et al. Turning to pending matters, there are 4 matters pending before the board. First is DMB Packing Corp. doing business as the Damari Company. There's an ALJ decision issued on March 18th, and exceptions filed on April 8th, and replies closing the briefing on April 29th. And that involved the majority support petition filed in case number 2023-RM001 VIS. The next matter is Hosai Guy Farms, Inc. There it's just that the window for reconsideration is still open for the admin order that I reported in Hosai Guy Farms. Next is the United Farm Workers of America and Monterey Mushrooms special permission to appeal that was filed by the UFW regarding the ALJ's order relative to the UFW's motion to dismiss and motion to strike. That was filed on May 21st. Opposition filed on May 28th. And finally, Garwin Farming, Inc., case number 2012-CE041 et al., and that involves the board's decision in 49 ALRB number 2 and 44 ALRB number 1 there. The regional director filed an amended make-whole specification to conform with the board decision and order in the board decisions I just mentioned. That was filed on May 29th. An answer, if any, is due on or before June 13th. That's tomorrow, Thursday. That concludes my report. Happy to answer any questions about those items.
Thank you, Santiago. Appreciate that. Next, we have our litigation report, and do we have an update from our, yes, we do, from our Chief Board Counsel, Todd Ratchin.
Good morning. Since the last meeting where we presented litigation updates, there's been a few developments in the pending case in Kern County Superior Court involving Wonderful Nurseries versus ALRB. It's case number 24 BCV 101649. The board and the United Farm Workers of America filed oppositions to the employer's motion for preliminary injunction. And Wonderful replied last week. Applications to appear the amici in support of Wonderful were filed by Western Growers, Driscoll's Incorporated, and Rimway Farms. And the hearing on the employer's motion for preliminary injunction was heard this morning, and the court took the matter under submission. At this time, the board's and the United Farm Workers' responses to the employer's complaint are due on July 17th.
Thank you, Todd. Okay, and we do not have a general counsel report today, nor do we have an administrative services report. We do not have a legislation report, but I believe we do have an update from our regulation subcommittee. So I will turn it over to them.
Board members, members of the public, we do have a potential action to take today. On our last meeting, we presented or we discussed responses to the subcommittee's general report implementing regulation changes that we had suggested for implementation of AB 113. We discussed at that meeting some further changes. On June 6th, the subcommittee issued an additional, supplemental committee report suggesting, based on comments received, 5 further changes. And I'm going to go over those changes briefly, and then we can have a discussion of those changes. Anything else anyone wants to talk about? And then we would request that the board, if it accepts the subcommittee's report without modification, or makes modifications, that we set a 30-day comment period to comment on the changes we have made, hopefully sort of liberally construed, and people can comment as they wish, but it generally should be restricted to the changes that we've made either today or in our last board report. So with that, let me go over them. So some of them are more significant than others. Some of them are small. Some of them are fairly significant. So first, a modification, subdivision A1A, removing the requirement that the ALRB regional offices provide hard copies of the authorization card. They will still be providing, that there still will be on our website a downloadable exemplar of the card that any entity seeking to collect cards, any union, can download and use to collect cards that will have all the required information on them. Next, a change also in subdivision A1A, adding a space on the template authorization card for a witness to provide a printed name in addition to a signature. The witness would be required if someone, like in a regular election, needs assistance in signing the card. And third, a change in subdivision A3, which is implementation of a requirement of the regional directors, or of a request by the regional directors requiring notice to agricultural employees at the filing of a majority support petition, including posting and a reading at the place of employment. Next, on subdivision B, allowing the employer's response to a majority support petition to be extended to the next business day when a deadline falls on a Saturday. And finally, in subdivision C, allowing the regional director's initial determination whether a majority support petition is proper and whether majority support is established to be extended to the next business day when the deadline falls on a Saturday, Sunday, or a legal holiday. So those are the changes that we propose, and with that, I'll return it to the full board for questions and comments and public comment and action. Thank you.
I had a chance to review the changes, and I appreciate it, and I thank the regional staff who submitted the language regarding noticing the employees. And I realized as I said that I was remiss in not acknowledging in the chair's report that Board Member Broad successfully got through the Senate Rules Committee hearing, and this very issue came up where he had questions from some of the members of the committee asking about how employees are aware, and he was able to cite this proposed change. So first and foremost, congratulations, Barry, on getting through the Rules Committee, and please keep us posted on when you have a floor vote. That's the final step in the process. Back to this matter, just appreciate all the changes, and I think this package is in good shape for us to, I think the next step would be to start the comment period, and then it can continue through the administrative law process. I know when you brought this up 2 weeks ago, you had suggested 30 days to give a little more time. Are you still thinking if the board does go ahead and approve this, still 30 days or 15? Okay.
30.
Still 30.
That's our recommendation.
Yeah.
All right. Thank you. Do any of my colleagues have any questions or comments? Okay. And do any of the other participants in the meeting have any questions or comments on this particular matter? Okay, seeing and hearing none, I make a motion that we proceed with the AB 113 rulemaking package as proposed with the revisions by the subcommittee and go into the next comment period for 30 days. May I have a second?
Second.
Thank you so much, Member Flores. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Aye. All right, motion approved. Thank you very much for all your work, subcommittee. I really, really appreciate it, and council as well. I know you've worked very hard on keeping this on the track. Our next agenda item is public comment. So for those of you that indicated ahead of the meeting you wish to make public comment, we will turn to those first. If you would like to make public comment now but did not indicate that you wanted to do so ahead, that is perfectly fine. We still want to hear from you. You may indicate that you wish to make comment in one of several ways. The easiest ways are using the Zoom feature, use the raise hand function or the chat and message Santiago and let him know, or you can send an email. If you, please state your name and organization if applicable, and we ask that you not provide any substantive comment in the chat features that will not be part of the public record. And please mute your device, and we'll make every effort to get back to you if you're having technical issues. So I will turn to Santiago. Do we have anyone that has wished to make public comment?
Not at this time.
Okay, we'll pause a moment to see. Okay, Seeing and hearing none, the board will now recess into closed session. Member Hall and Member Flores, please stay on the Zoom application for one moment. Good afternoon. It is 1:15 and the board has returned from closed session. Our next agenda item is announcements. Next week's board meeting will not be on the 19th in honor and recognition of Juneteenth, and the increasing recognition, thankfully, across the country of this important time in our history. So we will be meeting on Thursday, June 20th at 10 a.m. online and at 1325 J Street, the ALRB headquarters. Thank you, and this meeting is now adjourned.